Lord Xerus! Lord Xerus! Lord Xerus! Lord Xerus! Lord Xerus!
Hey guys, it's Lord Xerus. Welcome back to my castle for episode 3 of A Pain in the Brass, Up to the Hilt. Looks like I got a package from Marin du Bourbon over at Terrordome Industries, which you can find on sc.com. Alright, let's take a look, guys, shall we? Okay, opening packages is not my strong suit, okay? Wow, cool. Alright, this is the crossguard for my one-handed sword here. And here's the pommel. Alright, you guys recognize my mullet from my plate armor, yeah? Oh, cool, look. This is the piece of scrap aluminum that Marin du Bourbon included in my package. I requested this piece of scrap aluminum so I could test the different ways of coloring this material. As we learned in our last episode, the patina looked a lot darker than we wanted it to. Of course, I don't know if that's because we were working on steel and not aluminum. So I'm gonna use this scrap piece of aluminum to test it to see if we can't get a nice gold color. If not, I'm just gonna go ahead and spray paint these suckers. Alright guys, so let's get to work. In no time we're gonna have a really cool looking rattan sword. Now, I can't stress enough how cool it was for the vendor to give me this really rad piece of scrap aluminum here. He didn't have to do that, so let's give him a round of applause. And give him your business if you can. Ooh. The first thing I'm going to do is use some of these waste chemicals that I put in this little jar, as a way to keep it out of the drain. Because you never want to put chemicals down the drain. The manufacturer says that this only has a shelf life of about, I think it was like 8 or 12 hours. So this might not work. And this has actually been diluted with water too. I have so much of this that I'm just going to give it a shot. Just because I hate for all of this stuff to go to waste. Always be sure to do this in a well-ventilated area. Equip rubbers! Alright, let's proceed. Alright, got our chemical vat. It's kind of cool. It's kind of like we're creating the Joker here. Alright, here goes nothing. Alright, that's excellent. Look at that. Look at that color on the first try. Nothing at all like our shield boss. So maybe the problem with our shield boss was the fact that it was steel after all. Alright, well, hooray for chemistry. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna throw that whole thing in there. Boom! Yeah, oh, sure. Did you see that? Oh, anyway, sorry. I'm gonna fish that out of there. And there we go. Well, look at that. Got a nice, now it looks like a gold nugget. Pretty cool. Our little nugget here is looking pretty good. What I wanted to do next was I was gonna kind of mix up a test batch of fresh chemicals to see how different the color is that we get out of it. So I was just gonna touch just a tiny bit of chemical there. Just a drop. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! No! Take that outside. Take that outside. That was gnarly. Alright, so I don't know what happened. Well, this tray is aluminum. It's aluminum foil. So clearly, that reacted with the chemicals. So yeah, I probably should have thought of that before I started mixing the chemicals here in this little vat here. Didn't set off the smoke alarm or anything, so that's good, but probably didn't want to breathe that, so...
Thanks for watching! If you like this video, be sure to read The Tale of the Order of the Blue Maiden. It's a high-flying adventure. Available now on Amazon, iTunes, Barnes & Nobles, and Kobo. Or go to thetale.com. You've never heard a tale like this.
Welcome back to How Not to Mix Chemicals with Lord Xerus. As we just learned, our patina did react with our aluminum pan and look, it patinaed the crap out of it. So now we're going to try and do this properly, okay? Now we're going to try and mix this in a plastic jar. I just filmed the episode about the shield boss and I did mix some lacquer in there, so I don't know if that'll have a reaction. Let's cross our fingers. Alright, let's try this again. Tiny bit apart, touch apart B here. This is, again, the result of the earlier experiment we did with the waste chemicals, which may actually just work. I mean, may actually end up just using that. But let's see if there's a dramatic difference with this new chemical. Oh, that stuff smells. I'll remember to use a well-ventilated area. Get it in there. Look at how dark it got immediately. It got super dark. Alright, so that is a very dramatic difference that we're seeing now. It's a lot darker. Way dark. Now it's very dull. There's a patch here that looks really nice, like a really nice brass. but it looked better before we added this second coat here. And we used that waste solution, and the waste solution seemed to work better than the patina. So I think after getting those results, I think that's how I'm going to proceed. So let's pour it back in there. Because we do not want to put chemicals in the drain. Alright guys, now that we've completed our test, now we can move on to the main event. The first thing that we need to do is to degrease our parts, okay? Because I have been handling this quite a bit, so it probably has a lot of oil for my hands on it. So what I did is I went ahead and taped up the enamel on both sides. Now, I don't anticipate the patina doing anything to the enamel, but I did that just in case. I didn't want to end up with a big mess that I was going to have to clean up or deal with afterwards. So I just went ahead and covered it. That will also be useful if I end up spray painting this part. Alright, so now let's degrease this here. We take our brush and clean, or degreasing solution, which has come in quite in handy. Right, so with these chemical applications, you end up getting all kinds of interesting interactions. So you want to be very mindful of that. You want to make sure that all your parts are clean, that all your brushes are clean, and all that. Degrease the inside here. Start cleaning our other part here. Kind of hard to get all the suds off here. Alright, so I fished our waste chemicals out of the garage. Since I started filming this segment, I've been away on a trip. Went away to Portrero War. This now has been sitting in the garage for like about a week now. So we also have changed the composition of this since the last time we used it. We added some more waste runoff into this, so I don't know how that's going to affect it. So we may end up with something completely unrecognizable today. Oh boy, that stinks. Oh, be sure you have lots of ventilation when you do this. Let's see what happens, guys. Oh, that's not good. Our degreaser didn't really do a good job. Or we didn't do a good job of degreasing, rather. I didn't. No, not we. I didn't do a good job of degreasing this. Oh no, we're getting streaks now. Oh boy, oh brother. This is gonna be a mess. I can tell already. Again, trying to get it all covered, consistent all over the place so that it doesn't get too streaky. Now we're gonna rinse it off. Ah, it's not bad. I don't completely hate it. The only problem with it, it's a little bit uneven, so I'm going to try, against my better judgment, to go ahead and give this another coat to try and even it out a little bit. But I could be wrong. I could just be messing this up royally. Alright, I gotta say, you know what? Don't completely hate it. I am just a little bit bummed that some of this application's a little bit uneven. And it's probably my fault because I waited a little bit too long to add it to the side here. But other than that, it's actually pretty great. The color's nice, the reflection's nice, the timing's really crucial. You know, as a matter of fact, if you could dip this, the best thing probably to do is dip it. If I can get a little bit more on here. But I think it might be too late for that. I think the surface of this might already be activated, or whatever you want to call it. Top of this is the part that looks the best. The side has some drippings on it. So I guess coating this really quickly is crucial to getting a nice consistent coat. I'm going to give it another pass, see if I can get this just a little bit more even. Still a little bit uneven, but you know what? It's a lot better than I expected. Considering we're using the waste chemicals and not the actual solution itself, I feel like this is a pretty good result. Let's do the pommel here. I'm thinking maybe we should just dip this. Let's just go ahead and dip it and see what happens. Alright, pull that out. Oh, now we do have a lot of inconsistency here. Some of the solution was actually allowed to get on the bottom here before we started. Kind of a splatter from the other one. So we got some spots there. So that's not cool. So I'm just gonna have one more application here with the brush just to see if I can even it up. Evening this up after the fact doesn't really work so well. It doesn't always work all that well. So you kind of got to get it right first shot. Alright guys, we've added our brassing here, and you know, I gotta say we've achieved pretty nice results. Give a nice shine in the sunlight, nice glinty yellow color. Not quite gold. I mean, it does look basically like antique brass. And if you were me, you might be satisfied with this. Now, me being the, I don't know what to call myself, perfectionist, not really, because, yeah, let's go with half-ass perfectionist. Always trying to want to experiment with stuff, usually to my own detriment. But anyway, what might not be completely visible here is that once it's dried, I ended up getting kind of a fine white sediment on some of the parts here. Now, the way I dealt with that is I just took a moist paper towel, or even a dry paper towel, and just kind of rubbed it off, and the sediment would come off. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our old friend, this Rust-Oleum metallic spray paint, and I'm just going to brighten it up a little bit. I'm not going to completely dust it with spray paint, but all I want to do is just kind of give it a little bit of, give it a light dusting, just to give it a little bit more of a shine. And the other is to kind of give it a coat, an overcoat, because the other alternative is to use that lacquer that we got from Surf and Chemical. Now, the thing about that lacquer is that it ends up looking really super shiny. Now, I think that if you add something, real luster to something this dark, it's going to end up looking a little bit unnatural. Alright, I think that's enough.
Okay, so these parts have dried. While you weren't looking, I went back and added another little coat here. I did mess around with it, which I shouldn't have done. If you look at this part, it looks pretty good. Actually looks pretty brassy. More brassy than gold, and that's okay. I like it. There is a little bit of pooled paint here, a little bit of irregularity, so I think what I'm going to do is sand this off and hit it again. That's not such a big deal, not too noticeable. The big problem is over here, where we got this weird kind of little pattern here. The reason this happened was because I tried to smooth down the paint with my finger. Big mistake. Ended up putting a big divot in it. So I sprayed it over with another layer, but then this time the paint behaved a little bit differently. Started pooling. And so, not liking that, I wiped it again. Again, bigger mistake. So, what I'll probably do is I'll probably try to sand this down also and give it another hit. It's not bad looking, it's not terrible. I could just ignore this. It does look a little bit too much like paint for my taste. You compare it to, the finish over here, where this looks marvelous. This looks like actual weathered metal. This just kind of looks like a mess. Look at on the ends. I really like the look I got here on the ends. I did hit that with another layer since the last time I showed this to you. So, because it was looking a little sparse there. But I really like the result. I like that the paint didn't cover up those little holes. It adds very nice detail. I've taken the tape off of the pommel, and you can see there's a little bit of, little area where the paint didn't reach. That's okay. I might hit that with a little tiny brush and maybe some acrylic paint to cover that up. Overall, I'm pleased with this result. I like it. The gold paint doesn't look like just straight spray paint. It's got a little bit of dimensionality to it. The important thing to note is that the patina does seem to want to repel the spray paint. So, when you hit it with the first couple of layers, the spray paint doesn't even seem to take at all. You barely see it. So it's a good way to get a really translucent layer there. And it kind of leaves openings where the patina shows through. And then the gold brightens the patina, which is, kind of what I wanted to do in the first place. I'm going to hit this with some sandpaper and give it another shot.
I like how the wind is blowing the paint right into my pants. The paint is kind of turning this job into kind of a mess. And the wind's blowing it right back at me again. God damn it. Let this be kind of a lesson. Leave it the first time. Just leave it the first time. Alright, in the process of trying to sand and repaint this, the finish is now completely ruined. Well, shit happens. What can I say? So now I'm gonna try and sand this down. Problem is that every time I try to refinish one surface, another surface gets ruined. Because the universe is a piece of shit and a failure and a bully. It's always ruining all the good things. Can't keep its goddamn hands to itself. Now everything's all shitty and bumpy and... this part is completely ruined. I'm gonna have to sand it and start over from scratch.
I did end up sanding this down. We already messed up a lot. Can't hurt to mess up a little more. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, as they say. Very soothing. Helps me forget about my past mistakes.
Mistakes have been made. Front of this now looks like warmed over crap. The bottom doesn't look half bad. This side looks a little bit more interesting. That I kind of like, but now, of course, it doesn't match the other side. I think maybe what I'll try to do is I'll try to achieve that same look over here. Good news is that the paint is now behaving predictably again. The bad news is that we've covered up our really cool mother of gold design here. There isn't a whole lot we can do about it other than get my fingers in there and start poking around, but I don't think that's gonna help. Now this is exactly the kind of imperfections I was looking for when I first set out to do this. This is so good when you look at the other side. This almost looks lifeless by comparison. I really like this. This is like one of my most favorite surfaces on this whole thing. And this other part's really good too. Only thing we're gonna do now is remove this layer of paint right here and then repaint it. This is kind of fun. The aluminum is colored now, but it still looks kind of sloppy, so we still need to hit this with a little bit of spray paint. Just go in and kind of fuck this up a little bit. It's a little bit too plain. It's just too glaringly perfect. I don't like it. Alright, so that was an ordeal. But now we finally have some results here. Now, I just wanted to show you guys this shield boss for reference. Here's our pommel. The pommel remains untouched and from our first attempt. And honestly, this is the best result I could have possibly hoped for. I mean, this is really beautiful. It's hard to see all the tiny little micro imperfections bubbling up through the paint from the patina. It really just makes this glorious to look at. And also feels really good too. When you hold it, it feels like, feels like metal. And here is our crossguard. Alright, now that took some effort. In order to break up the perfection of this side, I just ended up poking it with my finger. And it seemed to work. The paint dried enough that I didn't smear it like I had in the previous attempts, but only just kind of slightly disturbed the surface. And that made it porous and then allowed the dark colors to show through and then, actually added a little bit of character to it. I mean, I really love the color, especially on the sides. I know this is such a small thing, and I really want to protect this as much as possible. You can't guarantee that this is going to stay like this forever, because there's no way that something you're going to be given hard knocks over and over again is just going to stay in perfect condition. There's no way it's going to happen. So I just wanted to show you this real quick. This is my basket hilt sword, the first sword that I made. I just wanted you to see that's the kind of damage that the hilt of this sword receives. I don't know how, because when I'm fighting, I don't really feel like I'm hitting anything with it, but this finds its way to stuff. I'm going to do a little experiment. I don't want to lacquer this up, just because it looks so amazing. I really want to preserve that look and feel of real, real gold, real brass. This is the shield boss from my previous episode, You're Not the Boss of Me. So you could see the difference between the non-lacquered surface and the lacquered surface, which is it really kind of looks like it's got a plastic shrink wrap on it. I don't mind if this looks a little bit more reflective for some reason. I don't know why it doesn't bother me as much. Maybe because the paint is more irregular. There's more features underneath. I'm going to go ahead and cover that with our Surfing Everlast 2000 resin. So I'm going to do a little experiment. I'm going to lacquer this one up and I'm going to leave this one as is. And I'm going to see what the long-term effects are on these surfaces. Alright, let's get started. Alright, for this little project, we're going to use a sledgehammer. I'm going to use this as a stand here. I do want to paint the top and the bottom of this. Alright, let's prepare chemicals. I got spoons this time instead of sporks. Sporks didn't work so well. You gotta be careful, because the last time we opened up these cans, it got a little crazy. Hopefully there's not so much buildup this time. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, did you hear that pop? Alright. Ugh, it smells like bananas. Be careful to use a different spoon here, a different measurement tool, because if you stick that in here, you're gonna start that chemical reaction that's gonna harden your chemical, so you don't want that. Here we go. So that looks like there's a lot more than we got last time. The last time we were using those sporks, and sporks don't do so well. I'm trying to mix chemicals or eat soup for that matter. Come to think of it, I don't really know why sporks exist in the first place. Someone's idea is a joke, I think. Do that little mix. Okay, so here we have our finished parts. Take a look. And as you can see, there's a slight difference in the finish. I made a conscious choice to cover this in lacquer and not the other part. You just saw how we got the good, really good results with this on the first try. And we got the same results with this, but then I went ahead and screwed it up and touched it with my finger. I really like this finish. I mean, there's some really beautiful color on here. I just really wish you could see that in person. This also, we achieved a really good look. But because it's covered with that lacquer, it's got that kind of like, Disneyland look to it. It's got enough variance in the color and the texture of the surface of the paint that it looks good. And overall, I'm pleased with this result. Okay, my lords and ladies, thank you for joining me on this episode of Lord Xerus Does Stuff, A Pain in the Brass, episode 3, Up to the Hilt. Join me next time when I do another thing. Don't forget our motto, non intimidate ut decidere. Don't be afraid to suck. I'll see you on the battlefield. In this show here, we're all about experimenting, about trying new things, satisfying our curiosity, okay, in a safe space, inside our armor, inside our emotional armor.